All right, folks, two iffy contracts from Jim Benning. UFA Jim is back, baby, after two really solid moves this morning, signing Yaroslav Halak to a cheap deal and bringing back Brandon Sutter on a very cheap deal. The Canucks are using that money that they have now saved from the Braden Holtby buyout on Tucker Poolman and Travis Hamonic. Here's the terms for both. Tucker Poolman, who is a shutdown right side, sort of third pairing defenseman with no offensive upside, but pretty decent defensively. $2.5 million for 4 seasons. That's a lot of years for Tucker Poolman. A lot of years, especially when we just got out of sort of the 4x3s of the Beagles and Roussels of the world, going and basically giving a very similar contract to Tucker Poolman, who is a 28-year-old shutdown defenseman with not much upside and really hasn't been able to crack Winnipeg's top 4. The other is Travis Hamonic. Now, Rick Dhaliwal tweeted 2 years, $3 million. And my thought was, $1.5 million per year. Travis Hamonic, slight raise. That's a good contract. However, it has now come out that is $3 million per year for Travis Hamonic. So Travis Hamonic, also a right side defenseman, will, I guess, be either the 4 or 6, and Tucker Poolman will be the other on the second or third pair on the right-hand side. Travis Hamonic getting $3 million for the next 2 seasons. Both of these seem like overpays to me. Now, they're right shot defensemen, so they might have a bit higher value in the NHL, but both of these are a lot higher than we thought we'd see. Tucker Poolman's basically coming off of a league minimum contract. Last year, he played 39 games. He had 1 assist. That's it. That's all, which is fine. Shutdown defenseman, that's fine. But analytically, his defensive side was good last year, but hasn't really been great previously. So we look at, let me pull up Tucker Poolman's analytics. Last year, he was 59th percentile defensively, which is pretty good. Top 40% defenseman in the NHL when it comes to strictly defense, which is good. That's what the Canucks are paying for, and 8th percentile on offense. But the problem is you look at the year before, and he was in the 4th percentile on defense, which means he was one of the worst defensemen in the NHL 2 years ago and sort of a mid-tier defenseman in the NHL last year. It depends which Tucker Poolman are the Canucks getting. If they are getting this sort of decent middle-of-the-road defenseman, $2.5 million is fine. I don't like the 4 years of term. That feels like a lot of term for Tucker Poolman. And projected this year, at least this sort of model is projecting he'll be around, somewhere in the middle, around 30%, 30 percentile defensively. So we'll see if he's able to sort of continue his form from last year. He's not going to contribute any points. Played at the University of North Dakota with Brock Besser on the power play. Could be just fine. There's not really any upside to this contract, though. There's no potential for Tucker Poolman to outplay his contract. So the Canucks are getting what they're getting in Tucker Poolman. Let's talk about Travis Hamonic. Canucks bring in Travis Hamonic last year on a 1-year PTO, and then they sign him for $1.25 million. By the way, we're going to talk a lot more about these contracts and all of the other moves made in free agency today on Canucks After Dark tonight. You can search for it, or you can click on the link in the description and watch us 10 p.m. Canuck Clay and I, our weekly video podcast. Now, Travis Hamonic, pretty lengthy NHL career so far, entering, I think, his 12th year in the NHL or something like that. He played for the Islanders, then the Flames, then he joins the Canucks last year, basically meant to be a bottom 4 defenseman. He was 30 years old. Canucks said, hey, we'll come on in. We'll give you 1 year at 1.25, give you a chance to earn a raise next year. And he was fine. I think earlier in the season, he had a pretty rough go, joining the team late. But as the season went on, I think he picked up his play and really was an absolutely fine defenseman for the Vancouver Canucks. Analytically, he's not very good, but we'll get to that later. The problem here is, again, it's a contract that doesn't have a lot of upside, right? 2 years you're locking him in for, so his 31 and 32-year-old seasons. And at $3 million, there's almost no way that he lives up to that contract. So this one and the Tucker Poolman one, a little bit iffy for me. So I'm going to say Jim Benning's track record for the day is 2 wins and 2 leaning losses, probably 2 guys who aren't going to be able to live up to their contracts. Now, the Canucks are trying to, shelter their young defenseman here. The Canucks need a defenseman coming in today. That was their number 1 need. They need a backup goalie and they need a defenseman. They got the backup goalie. Now they've got 2 meh defensemen, and we've heard that guys like Luke Schenn might be in the mix as well. And it's really to sort of shield guys like Quinn Hughes, Jack Rathbone, an Ole Juolevi from having to play an excess of minutes. I think their idea is we'd rather have Poolman and Hamannik playing over a guy like Ole Juolevi. Let Juolevi go to the AHL in Abbotsford, play every game this year, and develop more, hopefully. So I see where they're coming from. I just think this could have been done cheaper, like they were able to do with Halak and with Sutter. Try to find guys that make almost no money, and then everything will just be easier for the Vancouver Canucks. Anyways, that's sort of my thoughts on this. I don't love them, but give me your take down in the description below. Let me know what your defenseman setup, your top 6 sort of looks like for the Canucks defense down there. And I'm sure I'll have another video coming up for you shortly. We'll see you later.